Hey, Rick Sayes here. Welcome to Season 3 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, recorded at the Surf City Studios in Costa Mesa, California. I have another great season of interviews with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz to share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks and hacks, and ideas you can use to take your career business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by Creative Live. Start learning for free today with their amazing selection of on-air classes. With over 1,500 curated classes in photography and video, money and life, craft and maker, art and design, and music and audio, there is something for everyone. I've watched many of their on-air broadcasts for free, or buy a class and own the content for life. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/creativelive and start building creative skills from the world's top experts today. Super fun conversation with Kristan Clarke Burba from Rendezvous Events Management. Kristan tells us a fun story about her first outdoor backpacking trip with her uncle. We talk about her events management business and much, much more. Enjoy. Hey, Kristan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rick. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on. So you've been busy this summer? Or as we wrap up summer?
Yes, been crazy busy. In fact, yesterday I looked at Sarah Nicholas, who works with me, and I said, oh my God, today's the first day I feel like we can breathe.
Oh, wow.
And she agreed. Yeah, we're happy to be happy to be kind of at the end of our season and get a little bit of a breather before 2019 kicks off.
Right, nice. So what was your first exposure to the outdoors? How did you get excited about outdoor stuff?
I grew up on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, and there's not much going on there except to be outside, really.
Yeah.
So, as a kid, we spent a lot of time in the woods, in the backyard, at the beach. But my first kind of big outdoor adventure was when I was in the 4th grade, and my uncle, who was really into the outdoors, took my best friend and myself on a backpacking and camping trip in the White Mountains of New Hampshire.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
4th grade. So how old are you in 4th grade? Like
I don't even
7 or 8,
like
maybe?
10?
Yeah, 8,
I
9?
don't know.
I don't even know.
Maybe it was 5th grade.
Fun.
And then I probably shouldn't say this, but at the top of our first mountain peak, he pulled out a beer for each of us.
That's a great uncle.
Yeah, so it was my first summit and my first beer all in one.
That's a great story. I love that.
Yeah, so that's still very close to him.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So that cemented that, huh? So you just continued on hiking and stuff from then?
Yeah, I think it really just kind of introduced me to a bigger world out there that I wasn't super aware of, and definitely pointed me in the direction in which my life kind of ended up heading.
Yeah. So next question, obviously, is, has that become a family tradition now? Have all the other 4th, 5th graders got to go on their first hike with an uncle or an aunt and crack their beer at the top of their first peak? That's a great tradition.
I wonder, like my sisters, I don't think ever got to do it. They're younger than me. Yeah, I'll bet he did it with his kids. I'm going to ask him that.
Yeah,
I'm going to give him a call today.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
that's fun. Let us know. We'll put it in the show notes. It is a tradition.
Yeah. And none of us have had kids that are old enough yet, so maybe we'll start that tradition.
Yeah, you can carry on. Yeah, there you go. That's
exactly.
Awesome. So what was your first outdoor job, or did you have a traditional outdoor job?
So when I was in college, actually, I would lead trips in the summers for high school kids. It was really fun. One summer, I did a month-long backpacking trip in the Sierras. Nice. And then the summer after that, we did a road bike from Seattle to San Francisco.
Wow.
They were both, they were huge accomplishments for me, just in the actual, I had never done anything that long or that intense. And so to be doing that and then also be responsible for a bunch of 14-year-olds that hadn't done it.
Yeah, right.
Wow. It was kind of crazy, but
was it a camp, formalized group, or did you just friends, or what was the group?
It was called, I think it was called Overland Travel, if I'm remembering correctly. It was out of Williamsburg, Mass. Yeah, and they just had a summer camp program and hired college kids to lead those trips. And when I did that bike trip, or the bike trip from Seattle to San Francisco, honestly, I didn't even know how to shift gears when I started that.
Wow, good for you.
Right? And by our last day, we did 100 miles with all of our camping stuff, all of our cooking stuff.
Holy cow.
I know. And now I'm a huge biker. So
Good for you. That's
yeah,
impressive. Yeah,
kind
that's
of the
awesome.
good thing about being young is you just throw yourself into things and
Yeah.
don't really look back.
Yeah,
And
well, and nothing hurts, right? You
pays
can
off.
ride for 100 miles. It's like, yeah, I feel all right.
Totally.
Now I
Now I
wouldn't be
need
able
to train for 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. And then I wouldn't be able to walk for a week afterwards.
Totally.
That's cool. That's awesome. So did you do that for a handful of years or just that 1 year?
I did that for a couple. I think I did it my junior and senior year in college.
Yeah.
And then after college, I moved to Jackson and I worked here for a little bit doing various things, but I ended up actually working for Backroads Travel
Oh,
and leading bike tours for them.
mhm.
So
That makes
definitely
sense.
led me to that job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so tell our listeners a little bit about Rendezvous Event Management. What kinds of things do you guys do?
Yeah, well, we have a great niche in the industry. We put on press events for brands in the outdoor fitness and healthy lifestyle industries.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's fun. We get to do the fun side of PR.
Yeah, right.
And we're a really good resource for the small to medium PR firms and in-house PR departments that don't have the bandwidth to also be running their events. And because our events have multiple sponsors, they're really cost effective.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of brands now can't really pay to do their own standalone event.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of media don't want to go to an event that just has one brand at it
Right.
unless they have really groundbreaking news.
Mm-hmm.
So it works out well because we bring in a bunch of brands, we bring in a bunch of media, and everybody's happy because we're doing fun stuff.
Very cool. So yeah, you guys do hikes and stuff along with the meet and greets and whatnot?
Yeah, so the majority of our work is actually in New York City.
Okay.
And we focus on getting brands in front of mainstream media and a wider audience. We have 3 showrooms that we do annually in the city, and we bring up to 20 brands and up to 90 media that all get to meet with each other in one day. So really an effective 8 hours of your time.
Yeah.
And then we do host a few experiential events in Jackson each year where we'll fly media in for 4 days of product testing. And if it's in the winter, we go skiing or
Nice.
Nordic skiing or fat biking. Yeah. And then in the summer or fall, we'll do trail running, hiking, biking, fly fishing sometimes. And then we just did this really fun event this past spring, a road trip from Bozeman, Montana, down to Jackson through Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Park, which was super fun to be on the
Very
road.
fun. Yeah, wow.
Great
That's
group
awesome.
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
I
then
love that you guys are doing outside stuff because that's one of my things about the outdoor industry is we go to OR, which is great, but we need to do more stuff outside as part of that show.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you want people testing your product.
Yeah, right.
And also, it's just like, when do you form your relationships the best, right?
Yeah.
It's on a chairlift in between runs, or it's on the trail run or the bike.
Slogging up some hill on the bike, chatting about stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I like it because it's like you form real friendships at a lot of our events.
Yeah.
And then we actually have a really fun new event we just added to the mix. We're calling it the Media Haven. And we rent a couple of luxury homes during summer outdoor retailer and invite media to stay with us throughout the show. And yeah, so mostly people are at the show, but we do some trail runs and yoga and fun backyard barbecues.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. So where'd the inspiration for that come from? How'd you get into that? Where'd that idea? That's a great idea.
I can't take credit for it. Or my business or for the media haven?
The business, yeah.
The business, okay. Well, I can't totally take credit for my business either. It was it was definitely the brainchild of Carson Stanwood, who I know you've had other ex-Stanwood and Partners employees on your
Nolan
show.
Was on the show, yeah.
Yeah. He hired me to run and grow the event side of his PR firm back in 2003. And I think an events division in a PR firm, at least in our outdoor world, was a totally new concept at the time. And Carson had really good, big ideas, and I was really good at implementing them. So it worked out well. Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in 2008, he sold his company. I didn't really like the company that bought it, and I decided to go out on my own, and I've been running my own events business ever since.
Right on. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So what were some of the challenges getting that going?
Well, I had a non-compete with that company that
Okay.
bought Carson's business for a year. So that was a little bit tricky, although I had, made enough connections in the industry that I was able to pull it off for that year without going back to any of the clients I had had before. But probably the biggest challenge was that I started my business in 2008. So it was right when the recession hit really hard.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody else about that the other day. Yeah, exactly. It's either the best time or the worst time,
Yeah. And I think in retrospect, it actually probably it was scary, but it was actually really a good time to do it because people were cutting back on their budgets. And so I was offering them an opportunity to do really good things for less money because I would bring in partner sponsor brands. So it probably helped me.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah. Well, that's what they say. I mean, if it's when in 2008, I bought a house in 2008 on 9/11, and I looked at the agent and I said, "Well, it's probably not going to get any worse than today." So, I mean, that's the thing about starting stuff in those downturns is it's probably not going to get much worse. So, nowhere to go but up, right?
I know it might have gone down a little bit after that.
Yeah, I'm sure. It did. Yeah.
Started to go up.
Very cool. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I was still like single and young enough and it was worth taking the risk.
Yeah. Awesome. So did you start it alone or did you have a couple of people helping you?
Nope, it was just me and my computer.
Yeah. Awesome. Good for you.
But that's good. I didn't want to be responsible for anybody at that point, right? My goal that first year was to make enough money to not go into debt. I just wanted to pay my bills.
There you go. That's good. Yeah. So has there been an event that you had some crazy mishap like the Wedding Crashers movie? Is somebody something totally gone off the rails? That's funny now. That might not have been funny at the time.
Yeah, I don't, there's nothing totally crazy.
That's good.
Our job in the events world is to like manage all of those fires behind the scenes and hope that nobody ever notices what's going on.
Right.
But speaking of Wedding Crashers, I don't know if you know this, but there's this whole group of fake media in New York City that are always trying to get into PR events for the free food and the free booze and the free swag.
Wow.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Huh. They have business cards, they have fake websites, and they'll come in, they'll put their stuff down on a table, and they'll stay at your event all freaking day. They'll eat all the food, drink all the drinks, try to get all the free stuff.
Oh my God.
So like after my first couple years of that, I've gotten really good at being a bodyguard at the front door.
Spotting them, right.
And figuring out like how they possibly got our invitations and trying to like cut those people out and pass them along. Right. So we're good now. I don't think I think we've gotten rid of the Wedding Crashers.
Wow.
Or the media crashers. Yeah. But there's this whole business.
I had no idea.
Media in New York.
I've never been to one of those events. Now that I'm a podcaster media guy, maybe I should start going.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on our invite list.
That would be interesting to do some podcasts from those. That'd be fun. Do some roundtable.
Oh, that would be really fun.
Some roundtable conversation and stuff. That'd be very cool. Yeah.
I've got one coming up at the end of October. I'll send you an invitation.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. So what are you most proud of that you've got going so far?
Yeah. Well, I won't name any names, but I think that the best feeling of accomplishment was after several years, after I started the first several years of starting my business, I just spent so much time, courting these brands that I wanted to work with and these people that I'd heard so much about. And a lot of times I wasn't given the time of day.
Wow.
And, just because I didn't know who I was.
You got to earn your chops. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But so then you kind of give up, you can only take no so many times.
Right.
And so then a couple years later to have some of those people and brands start reaching out to me and asking me to do their events because they'd heard about what I was doing. That's probably like the best feeling ever.
Yeah, and that's the best. That's the best form of marketing too, is word of mouth. I mean, if you don't have to do anything, but you live on your reputation, and it's a great one, and you do good things, you can do really, really well. That's good for you. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. And that's such a nice feeling now too, to go to outdoor retailer and not feel like I have to walk around cold calling all the
Yeah,
booths, right?
right, right.
Because I hate that.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, yeah, it's the worst form of sales, right?
Yeah, it is.
So, have you had any mentors that have helped you along the way?
I I feel like I've had a lot. I feel like the
Mm-hmm.
whole Stanwood and Partners crew are
Mm.
probably my biggest mentors.
You guys are a pretty tight crew up there still, aren't you?
We are,
Yeah, that's great.
we're still in touch pretty much daily.
That's awesome.
And if I need advice or I've got kind of a work problem I'm grappling with, I definitely pick up the phone and call one of those guys.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were a tight crew.
Very good. And do you do any work with nonprofits? Are you part of the? You guys work with the dog? The dog?
Oh, that Allie does?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I have not partaken in that, although I love that they do that.
That's great. Yeah.
The dog walking.
Right.
Every Tuesday, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
The last few years have been totally insane for me. I got married, I had a baby, we sold 2 houses, we built
Wow.
a house, I hired a full-time person for my business. So I haven't had a ton of time for volunteer hours, and I've kind of tried to make up for that in monetary donations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a couple of organizations that are really speak to me are nonprofits that are trying to make a difference in people's lives through healing in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
You might know Outdoor Outreach. They're down in Southern California.
Yeah, I know of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. So we actually did an event where some of those kids came and led rock climbing for our media.
Oh, cool.
And I was so impressed by them and their organization. And so I try to contribute to them every year.
There's a woman I worked with at Eagle Creek years ago that is starting a similar group in Oregon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she
Do you
was
know
on
what
the
it
show.
is?
Christy Foe. She was on the show. I forget what episode, but I'll send you the links and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more about it.
Yeah. Cool.
And then I have sorry.
That's okay.
I have a good friend that had started this foundation called Send It, which is for young adults struggling with cancer.
Okay.
And he started it because he had cancer in his 30s and recognized how healing the outdoors was to him,
Cool.
and also how few resources there are for people in their 20s and 30s and 40s that get cancer, because it's such a small population.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no real
kind of an older. Yeah, you think of it more as an older person's thing, but you get it at any age. I mean,
yeah,
kids, yeah.
and there's a lot of support for kids, and and then older people, there's support for them, or they already have their families established, but a lot of people in their 20s and 30s that get it are single and just like starting out their life. So he started Send It, and that definitely has a special place in my heart as well.
Yeah,
and
cool.
they're out of Tahoe.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
we'll link to both of those in the show notes. That's awesome. Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what outdoor activities do you participate in? I'm sure you guys, like everybody in Jackson or Mammoth or wherever, we do it all, right?
Yeah, totally. All of it. Skiing, every form of skiing there is.
Yeah.
Biking, trail running, hiking, all those town activities.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And do you have any suggestions or advice for folks either wanting to get into the outdoor biz, or maybe if they're already in, to grow their career?
Yeah, well, I would say if you're just looking to get into the outdoor business, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but just follow your heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
I followed my heart to college in Vermont because I wanted to be in the outdoors, and then I ended up in Jackson, despite the fact that everybody I knew after college was going to law school or med school or Wall Street.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, and then I really just made it a point once I was in Jackson to not be a ski bum or a climbing bum or whatever. I wanted to do all of those activities, but I also wanted to pick jobs that might lead me to a future career and that looked good on my resume. And I think that was smart,
Yeah.
And I will never forget, I accepted the position of a reporter at the Jackson Hole News and Guide, maybe a year out of college. And I thought my dad was going to kill me. I'll never forget him. pointing out that after spending 150 grand on my education, I was now living below poverty level.
That's funny. Yeah.
But, I knew that would look good on my resume, and I was learning a good skill.
Right.
And when I went to interview at Stanwood and Partners, probably the strongest thing I had on my resume was the fact that I was a former reporter. That's really great in the world of PR.
That's huge. Yeah, you can ask questions and get out there and dig around for the dirt. Yeah, that's cool. Wow.
And then I guess if you're already in the industry, or even if you're looking to get into it, a shorter and simpler answer would be I love the Facebook group that Allie Carr-Troxel started called Basecamp. Are you in that?
Yeah, I'm in that. Yeah.
I mean, it's such a good networking tool. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think I'm in that one. I'll have to double check, but I think I'm in that one.
I'll invite you if you're not.
That's with the Basecamp bloggers or something?
No, it's Basecamp, like outdoor jobs, I think. And
maybe I'm not.
I'll send you an invite. Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
People post job positions. Mm-hmm. People ask questions. I check in on it every day.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
And I'm not even looking for a job.
Right. Good resource to see what other people are doing, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity amongst all the work you guys do?
I'm a total creature of habit. I like my latte each morning and enjoying a little bit of quiet before my daughter wakes up. And then 100%, unless it's terrible weather, I need to get outside and exercise every day.
Great. Good. That's a good routine. I have similar. I don't have a daughter, though. No kids. But I like the quiet.
Well, then you have more time to be outdoors.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And what about some favorite books? Do you guys give books as gifts very often, or do you have some favorite books that you like?
Yeah, I'm a big reader, so I have a problem in that I read so many books I can't even remember the title of the last I read.
Yeah.
A favorite gift that I like to give, especially the men in my life, but anybody would love it, is, have you heard of Skeletons in the Sahara?
No. Oh.
Oh, it's just, okay, you should read it.
Yeah.
It's this great adventure novel. It's written based on these journal entries from these sailors that were shipwrecked off the coast of Africa and end up in the Sahara, and they get kidnapped by these Bedouin tribes.
Wow.
And so it's a classic outdoor adventure survival story.
Cool. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Highly recommend it.
Awesome. Well, I'll get that. We'll link to that in the show notes too. That's great. Do you have a favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Yeah, what is like constantly attached to me is my hydro flask.
Yeah.
I'm really big on hydration, especially living at altitude, and it goes with me everywhere.
Yeah, that's been mentioned frequently on the show. That's good.
Oh, has it?
Yeah. Nice.
That and not technical, but daily important.
Yeah, that and headlamps, I think, is the other one.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I was asking Sarah, who works for me, I was like, what is your favorite piece of gear under $100? And she's like, I really like these headlamps from Beyond Coastal we got last summer. And I was like, that's great, but I'm not using my headlamp every day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't use a headlamp every day. Yeah, but you use Hydro Flask or something like that. Cool. Well, we'll link to them in the show notes too. As we wrap up, is there anything you want to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
I don't think so, Rick. Gosh.
No? Okay. That's good. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for listening, I guess.
Yeah, and if people want to follow up or ask questions or find out what you guys are doing, what's the best way to reach out to you? Email, Instagram?
If you look up my company, rendezvouseventmanagement.com, you'll find me my website.
Cool.
I'm on Instagram, Rendezvous Events, although I have to admit, it's kind of turned into more of a personal Instagram, but we post some work photos once in a while.
That's cool.
And then, my email is Kristan, Kristan, at rendezvouseventmanagement.com.
Good. Well,
would love to hear from anybody. Yeah. Always looking for fun new people to work with.
Yeah, cool. We'll link to all that in the show notes too. That'd be great. And I look forward to catching up with you about the blogger or the Basecamp page and some events. We should do a roundtable conversation about, I'm sure there's a million things we could talk about at one of your events.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that would
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, awesome.
Look forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, well, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Rick.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Kristan Clarke Burba from Rendezvous Events Management as much as I did. You can follow up with Kristan on the web at rendezvouseventsmanagement.com and by email at kristen@rendezvouseventsmanagement.com. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 138. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. I'd also like to take a minute and thank the Outdoor Biz podcast supporters on Patreon, Scott Oshman and Will Dawson. Thank you for your generous support of the Outdoor Biz podcast, and be sure to get your free hug next time we see each other. I'd love your support too. Please visit patreon.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast and sign up today. Thank you. Hey guys, so you may or may not know that podcasts are a lot like public radio. Public radio gets almost 80% of its funding from private supporters. In addition to sponsors and foundations, people like you give donations too. The vast majority of a podcast's expenses are devoted to producing and presenting episodes and the distribution of audio to RSS feeds and digital media services like Libsyn, SoundCloud, etc. The Outdoor Biz Podcast is on Patreon to make it easy for you to offer your support. Patreon is a simple way for you to contribute to the podcast every month. There are even some simple rewards in return. Go to patreon.com/theoutdoorbiz and become a patron today. Thank you so much. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Be sure to go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the links to the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. And be sure to make time to get outside and take someone with you.